I had had my business for like 2 years by the time I hired someone. So I was established in my messaging and what I provided and things like that. Granted, I wasn't clear about it. Like I couldn't say I had a mission and a vision or like I had systems, but I knew what I was doing or what I wanted to do at least. So bringing other people into that process felt really scary, and saying, "Hey, I'd love you on my team because I need you," was scary. But I also can see the direct benefit of trusting that that was a good move, making a big investment and asking for help.
Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Today on the podcast, I have with me a really special guest. Her name is Kate Lyman, and Kate is a nutrition coach, founder of Kate Lyman Nutrition, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur running her nutrition empire from sunny Mexico. Sounds amazing, right? Kate is a wife, a traveler, and a lover of the outdoors, and she helps committed clients to make transformational change using a flexible nutrition approach and creating healthy and sustainable habits while using evidence-based methods, which is amazing. She supports and educates her clients so that they are ready to navigate their nutrition and reach their weight and performance and aesthetic goals no matter what life throws at them. Kate and her growing team have helped hundreds of people to change their bodies and eating habits, as well as breaking the myths around dieting and living a healthy lifestyle. Kate has got a bachelor's degree in exercise science, a master's degree in public health, and is a certified health education specialist. So welcome to the podcast, Kate. I'm so excited to have you here today. And thank you so much for taking the time to join me here and talk with me about the amazing work that you do.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Good. Yeah, there's so many things that I want to ask you and learn about from you. So let's just dive on in. For starters, I'd love for you just to tell us a little bit about your story. For listeners who are new to you, just give us a bit of background about you and what brought you to this point, in terms of the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, I will spare you the long story because I never thought I would be a nutrition coach, but aren't we all kind of in that same boat, right? Like never thought we'd be doing what we're doing now. But I started Kate Lyman Nutrition and it was obviously just me. That's why I named it my name. I didn't think I would have a team. I didn't think I would have as much growth as I have had. And it started when I was in grad school. So I was working in exercise science and public health nutrition. This was kind of my area of study. And I had been a CrossFit trainer at the time. And between just both my education and personal experience with nutrition, with working with my own coaches, I really had an interest in nutrition coaching. So it started very small, just working with nutrition clients who were clients from the gym. And then, made a website, called it a brand, registered a business, all of these little things. And it was just kind of this side gig that I absolutely loved as I was going through grad school. And I even went on to start a PhD program. And a semester in, I was not loving the PhD program, but I was loving my nutrition coaching. And I came to this crossroads of like, okay, I either need to quit coaching and go like all in on my PhD, like get my doctorate, just get it done, or like leave this program and try to go full time with this coaching. And like, it sounds like an obvious choice because I loved the coaching, but it was very scary because to me, like working in fitness or nutrition, that's never been like a quote, real job. Just a fun thing I've done, like it paid for my college and stuff, So it was a very hard decision to make. And I ended up leaving the PhD program and I said, okay, like I'm giving myself 3 to 4 months to see if I can take this full time. And it was really scary because I'd had these aspirations of, having this doctorate, like being called a doctor, like being a tenured professor down the road, like all of these things. And it was such a big change in trajectory but I did it obviously. And, and this is coming from a place of having like a really solid background education and experience. I was working in a lot of health behavior theory in my graduate school. And so like education was there, but I have never known a thing about business. So this is like the glaring gap. And it's just been this really incredible journey of supporting my clients and growing my client base, but also my business by hiring out and outsourcing and then hiring more coaches and things like that. And just really learning about business along the way because, that I was like that. No, I know science. Like I don't know business, but it's been really incredible. And, a big goal of mine was to be financially successful enough to move to Mexico and for my husband to quit his job and for us to move. And we just did that. And it's like so awesome because 5 years ago, I like have the journal entry of writing that down saying I wanted to make it happen. Might have been 4 years ago. And now it's happened. And it's kind of like this huge slap in the face in the best way possible of like what has been possible because of the growth and some of the discomfort along the way.
That's so amazing. Oh my gosh. I love that you had that like bucket list dream of retiring your husband and moving to this like paradise place. And you guys have actually done it. That's so inspiring. I love that. And I mean, it must have been really hard. I totally know what you're talking about with that. Like when you had to make that decision, when you were at that crossroads of, you were already inside the PhD program, you were on that track. All you had to do was stay on the pathway and, all of these really clearly laid out plans would have just happened. So, I mean, because I personally talk a lot about that on this podcast. Listeners know that, my own journey of stepping away from something that is just so it's respected, it's clear, everybody understands what you're doing. So what was that like for you when you made that decision, when you're like, nope, I'm just going to get off this, like giving yourself permission to do that? How was that?
It was really scary, and I cried so
Yeah.
much. Like, I cried so much, it's ridiculous. And, my husband is this wonderful voice of reason. He's like, "Look, like, I know this is a hard decision, but, like, nothing bad's going to happen, like, we're not gonna die, like, it's not like our family finances are resting on you doing that, this one particular, right choice or anything like that." But I think it felt like quitting to me, which was really, really hard. Like I am not a quitter. And
Mm.
it felt like quitting something and like letting people down. It was really only me, you know. A lot of it felt like, okay, here's this real job in front of me, like professorship or a research position or something like that. And like here's a fake job, fitness. And like I'm choosing the fake job. And I know now, obviously, it's not a fake job. I'm so much happier, I think, with what I've done now. I can't imagine being much happier than I am now. But it was really scary and it felt like quitting, which felt really hard. But I think that's good. I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And that's just so amazing that you had a supportive partner. I mean, I'm sure that helped you to take that like leap of faith into the abyss, like into the unknown. And that's just awesome. I imagine that you faced a lot of, I mean, whether it was real or whether you were kind of projecting that onto, but other people were kind of confused. Like, why would you be doing this? Did you have some
Right.
of that stuff?
I had so much support. I had people saying like, "Yeah, you hate this one thing and you love this other thing. Do the thing you love." Um,
Mm.
and to me, all I could hear was like, "You're quitting." I mean, my advisor in my program, yeah, she was real pissed, but but that was like the only person I was really letting down. Even other faculty was like, "Hey, like if this isn't for you, it isn't for you." I think I was my biggest roadblock at that point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We are such our own biggest obstacles in so many situations. Okay. So you did the leap and then you were like, okay, I'm giving myself a few months to make a go of this like imaginary business and then let's see where this can go. So what did you do? Like, how did you actually start to build this business that's grown into such a huge thing now? But tell me about those like first few steps and first stages.
So I made this decision. It was like this huge relief. And then I was faced with like, okay, what now? Because I had this like really simple system in place to, manage my clients and their check-ins. And I'm like, sending like chunky, disjointed invoices to some, but some people are Venmoing me. Like I had no systems in place. And I was like, okay, I think I need to do this better. And it's interesting because I can think back fondly on those days with like no overhead and say like, hey, I was kind of actually making some money then. But then, I had to invest in things. I had to create systems. And it was like, all of a sudden I was, paying for this client check-in software. And then I was like using QuickBooks Online. And then I was, had MailChimp and all of these different things to try and do like, I'm listening to like Jenna Kutcher podcasts at this point, being like, what's a business? What's an email list? I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And it was really scary because the overwhelm was so great. I was like, man, I know how to do this nutrition coaching stuff, but I have no idea how to do the other side. So it was this huge period of growth, those first few months of like, and I'm so serious. Like I binge listened to Jenna Kutcher's podcast to learn like the basics of how to run a business. And I learned a lot. And then I ended up actually hiring my first coach, I think at the end of those 3 months, knowing like I hadn't met an income goal of like, this is a full-time job now, but like having the vision of how it was going to work. And so it was it was so much trial and error. It was like starting an Instagram and finding my voice in writing and just cranking out content, like blogging once a week and then trying to put out things on Instagram and then creating freebies to start an email list, like all of the basics. I was just really dipping my toes in to all of these ways we are told to run a business and finding that some were working for me and some weren't working for me. And I think one of the biggest things that's been impactful to me is just really trusting my gut, and like being really, really clear about what feels authentic to me and what doesn't. Because I inevitably hit this ceiling we have as one-on-one coaches, right? Of like, okay, I can't take any more clients because I'm drained already. But like, I've already raised my prices a little bit. I'm at a ceiling. Like I can't make any more money and I have to make more money because I'm not being greedy. Like I need money to live, And so following all of this business information, I had like tried a group program and then tried like a higher tier, smaller group program. And I tried so many things that totally flopped. And I mean, like I had a like quote launch, knowing like, I don't even know what this word launch means, but people keep saying it. Like I had a launch and no one signed up. And I was like crushing it with my one-on-one clients, but like totally like drowning in these other attempts, but they so did not feel genuine. And then I stopped and I was like, why am I doing this? I hate it. Like this does not feel like what I even want. I don't even feel like I'd be able to help these clients in the way I help my one-on-one clients. And so kind of thinking outside the box a little bit, hiring another coach became the answer for me. And that was like the best decision I made. It was it's really scary to give up some of what you've built to someone else, but like being really intentional in that hiring process was really helpful because it helped me see my gaps as well, bringing someone into the process. And I think that was the best move I made off the bat, to just not follow like what is the normal sequence of how to run an online coaching business, but just to kind of create my own path based on what felt good.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love that you learned to listen to your intuition and really follow a path that maybe it's not what you saw everybody else doing, but it felt authentic and aligned for you. And then obviously that totally worked. So yeah, I mean that it sounds like you, of course, started like most people do in that real hustle phase, right? Like you're trying all the different things, you're doing everything all of yourself. You don't really have systems in place yet. And that can be such a frustrating and difficult stage. And I know that a lot of my listeners are in that stage now. They're just trying to make it all work, right? And you were in like absorbing like mentorship, listening to podcasts. I love Jenna Kutcher's podcast too. Yeah, and then hiring your own coach. That's awesome. Like that's a great step. It sounds like that, like investing in yourself, in your business, and getting expert guidance, right? Like expert mentorship. So important. But I love how when you realized that you were hitting a ceiling, like when you were sort of recognized that there was a bottleneck, you only had so much time in the day. And, most coaches and entrepreneurs, they hit that point at some point, right? Because, it's just you. And then, then the common thing, of course, is to go into like a scaled leveraged model with offering like group programs, like one to many
Right.
kind of thing, or creating courses or whatever. But you decided to start hiring team coaches so that you could
Correct.
still
Yeah.
deliver like the same, like one-to-one service with your clients, because you knew that that was working. But you needed to basically clone yourself, right? So that's kind of what
Right.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, can you walk me through that a little bit? And like, how did that work out for you? And how did you, give us a little bit of info on how that went?
So I started with one coach, Diana, and I actually had met her. I had moved, my husband and I had moved to Tennessee for me to be in this PhD program. So it wasn't even just like a little, let me try this PhD thing. We like got
Mm,
up, sold everything, and moved to Tennessee. And I had met
wow.
Diana at the gym there. And so it was just like really genuine, honest conversation of like, hey, we have the same interest. Like, it was me seeking her out more than anything. Like, would you like to help me run this business? And she had like design background. We were able to really benefit mutually off each other. She helped me with the website, like all of these things. And she had like done B school, which I was like, what is that? I've still
Yep.
never done B school, but she had some ideas and some insight she was really able to bring into KLN that was so helpful. So after that, I hired another coach, Whitney, and since then, now I have 5 coaches, and I have personally sought out each of them. Like, I have gone to them, I've said, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Hey, I love your messages, whether it's like on Instagram or in real life. Like, would you consider working with me in KLN?" And everyone I've brought onto the team has been so aligned with what I want and what I provide in coaching and with the messages we share. So we've been able to form a really integrated team when some of us haven't even met in real life, um,
Mm.
because we're all on the same page. So I think just again, it's kind of that intuition, like really leaning into what felt good and what was rationally like a good choice, instead of like ever getting really desperate and just like hiring someone to hire someone, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Yeah, making smart decisions along the way. That's awesome. I love the business model that you've put together. It sounds really cool. I bet that there are some listeners out there who have their ears have perked up at this idea, because it's such a great way of, yeah, like cloning yourself and moving past that one-to-one bottleneck that we all end up creating for ourselves at some point. So yeah, I love it. I'd also be interested to know, what are some of the lessons that you perhaps learned along the way? Or like, what was some of the challenges as you were moving into this business model? And what were some of the things that you had to overcome as you were building your business?
I think such a big challenge has been letting go of some of what I've built and asking for help. I
Mm.
am the personality type of that I will just work myself till I die to get something done and, to do it right. Like, why not add it to my plate instead of asking for help elsewhere, and that that is
Mhm.
that is really hard for me, and I have obviously had to get over all of that because hiring coaches in itself is like giving a part of this business to someone else in a way that feels really scary. Because I had been while it was part-time, I had my business for like 2 years by the time I hired someone. So I was established in my messaging and what I provided and things like that. Granted, I wasn't clear about it. Like, I couldn't say I had a mission and a vision or like I had systems, but I knew what I was doing or what I wanted to do at least. So bringing other people into that process felt really scary, and saying, "Hey, I'd love you on my team because I need you," was scary. Um,
Mm, yeah.
and waiting for a response, like, do they think this is even worth it? So that has been really hard for me, and every single time I brought a coach on, it's been hard for me, and then getting virtual assistants or outsourcing work or just asking for help in any form has always felt challenging. It's been something I've just tried to get more and more comfortable with, but I also can see the direct benefit of all of that, especially, like, going back to hiring my own coach, a business coach, like, that is that is absolutely why I have seen success because someone was able to, um, look in from the outside and say, here are some glaring holes you have, like, let's fix those. And like, I was so hesitant to take that leap, which is crazy because as a coach myself, like, I have my own nutrition coach. I can help a nutrition client see the gaps in what they're doing, even if they are super knowledgeable on the topic. So, it was just really like trusting that that was a good move, making a big investment and asking for help.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's totally that thing when we are just we're too close to our own stuff that we're creating, right?
We
And
are.
you need that outside perspective and a fresh set of eyes that can just show you some things that seem really obvious on the outside, but just anything but obvious when you're on the inside. And it's your baby, right? And you've created this thing. So yeah, that's amazing that you like realized that you just needed that if you were going to hit the next level. And what about the like giving up control? It sounds like that was maybe hard for you, like just, and I mean, it's hard for so many of us, right? Like we like to have things the way that we like to have them, and then to relinquish some of that control, that can be really challenging, like whether it's delegating or for you, like hiring team coaches. How was that?
It was hard, but I think one thing that has made it easier is I've been better at this recently than when I first hired team coaches, but setting such clear expectations for what our coaching looks like and for the service that we are providing. So we offer highly individualized nutrition coaching. Like there's nothing canned about it. There's like every client is going through a totally different procedure or process in order to reach their specific goals. We work with men, women, all different goals. And so every coaching relationship is totally personalized, and making that so clear with all of my coaches and with the clients has been really helpful because they have so much flexibility to coach the way they need to help a specific client. But we have these written out coaching expectations that are so clear that we provide highly individualized, highly supportive coaching. So our coaching load is only as big as we can handle to provide that service to the clients. And like, there's so much wiggle room within that. Like we talk about our boundaries as coaches and how they're not a hard straight line. Like they might be kind of curvy at some points because we might have to go outside of the box to help some clients and things like that. But the message that what we're doing is providing such high quality service kind of permeates all that and gets us all on the same page, even when we have different perspectives, even when we have different strategies we use for clients and things like that. So we're always on the same page in this one aspect of the core of what we're offering. And we don't offer anything beyond that, like just the one-on-one coaching. And I think that makes it easier. I think those clear expectations have allowed us just to be on the same page, even knowing the differences we all have in opinion or in knowledge or things like that.
Right. That's amazing. So like, even though of course there's all kinds of like flexibility and individual stuff, but you guys are really clear as a team of what you do, like what you are and what you're not. And you just do that highly personalized one-to-one coaching. You're not about doing any other things. It kind of keeps things really like simple and streamlined.
Right. It is. And I think that's like the benefit for them as well. Like for my coaches, they just coach clients. Like the clients come from me, through me. They don't have to go out and find their own clients. They don't have to post to social media. They don't have to contribute to the blog. But as they're focusing so hard on their clients, we all get to share ideas. We all get to contribute to blog posts. They come up with great social media posts that I can then share because they have a different voice that, really hits clients differently. But there's no expectations to do that. The sole expectation is to be the best coach possible. And I think that leaves so much room for growth on their end, on all of our ends, to continue to learn and grow to be that best coach possible and to want to share different messages that we know resonate with clients.
Yeah, I love that. That sounds amazing. I'm curious, what would you say is, and there's lots of things that have led to this success and to you growing this business, but what would you say was the most important factor to your success? Like, what do you think made the difference for you?
Okay, so this one's money related, and like that's taboo to talk about, but I think people will resonate with it a lot. So I hired a coach. This was last year, I think, or maybe the end of the previous year. And she saw what we were doing. I had 2 coaches at that point. She saw the prices that we were offering and she was like, no, 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 double your prices. And I was like, there's no way I'm doubling my price. Like, no, everyone's going to leave me and my business is going to fall apart and I'm not going to have anyone to work with. And then my coaches are going to leave me and everyone's going to hate me. And then I'll have to get a real job. And she was like, no, like we need to work on this. And so this was like this process of me pushing back so hard. We worked together for 6 months. For 4.5 months, I was like, nope, not doing it. And then we kind of agreed on, like, she just helped me kind of see the value in what I was offering, become more comfortable with that higher price point. And eventually I raised prices for new clients coming in. And it was like the scariest thing in the world. And I remember getting on a call with the first client and being like, this is the pricing. She was like, okay, well, I'm ready to sign up. And I was like, what? Like, how did that happen? And then it happened again. And then it happened again. And then it was like, okay, like, if I believe in this pricing, people are going to believe in it too. And then we had to go through the process of bringing my old clients, like some of who had been with me for years and were paying just so little, bringing them up to this more standardized pricing. And I was like, oh my gosh, we went through the whole thing again. Like, everyone's going to leave me. I'm not going to have a business anymore. I've worked so hard for this. It's been like a year or two of just busting my butt. And then I'm like, don't even have my doctorate. Like, what am I going to do? I'm pretty dramatic if you can't tell, but, but then I did it. And not out of 3 coaches with all full client loads, not one client left us. And it was like this light bulb moment of just like believing in the product and the service and making the prices reflect that. And then I think as a result, because my coaches reaped the benefit of this too, right? Like all of a sudden their pay doubled, and once we were at that higher price point, it was like this huge drive in all of us to give more, like to even be better, like to make sure we are the coaches that people want to pay for. And so that's absolutely the most impactful thing I've done. It was with the help of a coach. Had I not had her help, I would have just been drowning in too much work with too little pay for so long. And that gave me more financial freedom to expand my team further, to invest in our education and continuing education on the ends of the coaches and in myself and in new coaches and in things that just make us better coaches.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that you said that. I mean, that's just perfect. I talk about money on this podcast all the time. It's one of my favorite subjects because yes, I mean, I do find it's such a common internal self-sabotage barrier for so many people in the health and wellness space is undercharging. And there is real power in premium pricing because not only is it, it helps you be better, like exactly what you just said, like that you and your team coaches, you guys stepped up because of where you were in terms of positioning in the market, but it also empowers your clients to step up into like that bigger investment. Like it's just such a win-win. So I love that you did that. That's awesome.
I think as a result, we've only been able to work with more committed clients who have seen better results, who have trusted us more. And every part of everything since that change has been better. Even though it was so scary. And even though it's scary to think about money, to talk about money. And my husband helps me a ton with the back end of my business and kind of doing the more financial and accounting tasks. And we have this agreement that we don't make money directed decisions. Like we don't make decisions just on based on what gets us more money, but what's better for the business. And sometimes those two go hand in hand. And I think recognizing that is so helpful. Because I've never been one to be like, I need more money. Just like I need to like have a living, like this needs to be worth it. I'm really working a lot. But realizing that what's better for the business, what's better for my coaches, and what's better for my clients, and what provides more financial security, all are in alignment. And it's not something to be scared of.
Yeah, exactly. It's all wrapped up. Like it's no coincidence. It's totally connected. And but it is scary for a lot of people. Like there's no doubt it is a lot of it's hard to like just say bigger numbers out loud, right?
Right.
Like especially on a call or, whatever. So, yeah, but if you can feel that fear and do it anyway because you know that it is in service of your clients and it is in service of being able to grow your business, and achieve that lifestyle and all of those kinds of pieces. So, yeah, I love that. That's so great. Let's say somebody's listening right now, maybe they're a few steps behind you in terms of building their business, but they're really loving everything that you're saying. Like, what are some action steps that you would say, that a listener could take right now to put some of these ideas into motion and just kind of start moving forward?
I think what would have been most helpful for me to hear a few years ago is to kind of take a moment to lift your head up out of like the grind, the hustle, and like kind of look forward at the direction you're going. So, to use myself as an example, like I started this business full time and I was like, okay, like this is the hustle part. I need to work my butt off. No, I'm not making any money right now, but if I work hard enough, I'll make the money. Right. And then
Mhm.
1 year later, I was like, okay, I'm working really hard. And so that money is going to come one day. That security, not just the money, but the security in this being a viable business is going to come. And I never was like lifting my head up from this like relentless grind of work to say, like, how's that even going to happen? Um, and then working with a coach kind of gave me a plan the first time I was actually in a mastermind instead of like a one on one coach, business coach, but it was just a mastermind and like having ideas of how to make that work and to know that like working harder wasn't actually going to translate into results or growth without a plan was like this huge like kick in the gut. Like, oh, so I've been working really hard, but I haven't really had a plan. So like, what have I been doing? Like, because I think there's this messaging about the hustle, about the grind, about the beginning of your business and how hard you have to make it past that 1 year mark and stuff. And I think it's part of that's true. Like we do have to work hard, but like we have to work smart too. There were things I could have delegated to a virtual assistant years ago to open up time for more clients or to open up time for more education or more content or things like that. Um, so I think just not getting too swept up in the hustle without having a plan is really helpful. Like, don't do what I did because I spent 2 to 3 years not making money, which again, it's not all about the money, but it made me sometimes a little resentful of what I was doing and the hard work I was putting into the business. Like I was being so drained by this work without seeing the the benefits of it beyond working with my clients, but like even then working with my clients became like this grind, this work that was draining. Um, and it wasn't allowing me to be a better coach. So, like setting those expectations forward of what we do to be the best coaches and then understanding that there's a plan to get there, that was a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. It is so easy to just get like stuck in the weeds and you're not really, you just kind of keep on pressing forward without, like you say, lifting your head up and seeing, okay, what's the big picture here? And what is actually in service of me creating that future now, whether it's delegating, getting mentorship, just coming up with that big picture vision and really stepping into that CEO role, not just
Right.
like being a worker bee, like just
Right.
continuing pushing forward with really no end in sight. So, yeah, that's great advice. I love that so much. Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to hear what you're working on now. Like what is your, what's a project that you're working on or what's your current offer? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this is kind of boring because like nothing. I work with my I work with my own client load. I will never not do that, I hope. Like even in a more managerial position now working with my coaches, and kind of helping them keep a full client load and stuff. I still work with my own clients because I love it. I love them so much and I hope I never stop doing that. Um but I just moved to Mexico and I want to have the time to explore as well as work. So right now I'm working with my own clients. We're taking on new clients all the time. I have 5 incredible, super knowledgeable and super qualified coaches that work with their own clients. And we're just doing that. I hang out on Instagram quite a bit, and I, for no reason but to put out free nutrition content. Like, we don't get most of our clients from there anyway. So, basically just like living the dream right now of coaching my clients and having happy coaches coach their clients. And, we put out a lot of information too. I want to make nutrition and nutrition education accessible to all the people, whether they can afford a coach or not. So we put out a lot of blog posts and a lot of free guides and stuff. Actually, if you go, my website is katelymannutrition.com. And if you go to the resources tab, you can find like full meal prep cookbooks, workouts, nutrition guides, things that just provide value and education for those who may not be into coaching right now, or even if you do have a coach, they're helpful as well.
That's amazing. Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you, before we wrap up, like where would you like to, where do you prefer to engage with people? Like if listeners are keen to learn more about you and your team and your work and all of that stuff, where would you like people to head to connect with you?
Yeah, head over to Instagram. So my handle is at KL Nutrition. I'm on there quite a bit, and I love questions. So if anyone has nutrition questions, business questions, I am not a business expert. I've made that clear, but I can tell you about my specific journey and what I've learned. Just shoot me a DM. I love answering questions of all sorts.
I love that. That is so amazing. You are, clearly a wealth of resources. And, even though you say you're not a business expert, but certainly your story and the decisions that you've made and the pathway that you followed, I know is going to be really inspiring for a lot of listeners. So it's been wonderful to have you here sharing all of this great stuff. And thank you so much again for taking the time to be with us and hang out with me and tell me your business story, because I love it. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it was helpful for some.
Yeah, it sure was. Okay, amazing. Have an amazing rest of your day in sunny Mexico. I'm pretty jealous. It's the exact opposite here for me. So anyway, enjoy. And I will talk to you again. Take care, Kate.
Thank you.
Was that amazing or what? I absolutely loved sitting down to talk with Kate, and I hope that you enjoyed listening in. I hope you found it inspiring, and I imagine that it got your juices flowing in terms of so many things. For one thing, a very interesting business model that you might want to consider for yourself at some point, one that allows for scale and leverage and can support a really beautiful freedom-based lifestyle with plenty of ease and simplicity. I also hope that you enjoyed hearing Kate's wisdom about the mindset required to truly go after your dreams and build real success as an entrepreneur. Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Tag me on Instagram. Let me know your biggest takeaways and let's have a conversation. Be sure to tune in next week. I cannot wait to talk to you then. And in the meantime, have a fantastic week. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening. If you are ready to build a coaching business that gives you freedom and flexibility and allows you to make a meaningful impact in the world, but you're not really sure how to get started or what you need to do to attract the perfect clients and grow your income, then let me be your coach. I would love to teach you my exact framework, my proven method for how I created a freedom-based business for myself and how I've helped dozens of clients do the same thing and create a life that is better than their dreams. Get started by heading over to drkimfoster.com/business training, and there you can sign up for my free online training called The 4-Part Formula for Replacing Your 9-to-5 Income with a Coaching Business You Love.